Okay, live and streaming. I'm going to have a look at the Stanley Parable today. My stream date doesn't say that I am, so I'm going to update that very quickly before we get going. Otherwise, that's just going to bug me. Right, I've never touched this game before, so I don't know what to expect, except that it's supposed to be a bit weird, and that's sort of the point. So with that, let's get in it. End is the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is loading never. Okay. Yes. Hello. I figure for this game I'll keep this view. God, it takes a long time to load.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay, I like it. It should definitely be a VR game. The weirdness would be 10 times better. 2 seconds. This feels a bit sluggish. Okay, game again, right, go. Can I interact with anything? Oh, I can crouch. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Well, so I checked the last stream, and the audio was the same as it always has been. So I'm reluctant to tweak it very much. I don't know, I'll put it up a little bit. If you start getting loads of static and background noise, then that's obviously a problem, so tell me. Oh, it broke. Okay.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I will try not to mumble. That's probably good advice in general for the whole streaming idea. Click, click, click. And nope. Oh, the game doesn't like being tabbed out of. Clutters and chunks a little bit, but okay. Am I near the end? What's going on? Doors. Useful maps. And good news, it's not too far from lunchtime.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh, I like it. How obedient am I? Oh. Door on my left. There we go.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
It was on my left.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
This one.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
The narrator's got it all wrong. He's not paying attention. He should be fired. I followed the instructions to the letter. I don't think I even can jump, so... This is going to be one of those multiple endings, isn't it? So I could, potentially, I'm assuming, run off the edge and say that I've completed the game and never come back. But no, I'm quite enjoying
Look,
it.
Stanley,
actually.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
I'm gonna pick it up, but not for the reasons that narrator wants me to. Dead.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
I was not dissatisfied. That was fine. As long as there's food in the fridge.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
That's me. I don't want to do that. I like this game. It's weird. I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna follow that instruction. Go on, Stanley. You can be free. What's the shoot button? Fine, I'll press it.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Okay, calm down. I have to remember he's talking about Stanley. He's not talking about me. Just press the button that I'm told.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. Doesn't actually accept any other inputs either. Smash. Crouch. I can play this. I can do it. Fine. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Wait. Why? Sorry. I'm having a great time. I get to watch TV potentially if I follow another instruction. I'm torn. Just want the food from the fridge, but that's not an option. Guess we're watching TV. No, we're not. It didn't work. Maybe that's an O.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
He's missed lunch, but at least it's nearly dinner time. Press T to spend time with the boys. Do you reckon that's like he's supposed to have children, or he's going out with his mates? Gonna guess neither. Let's press the button.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Ah, now it's making me sad. It's so right.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
What? Guarantee it's a little bit embarrassing, so I'll go for a whisper.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Stanley has a great job.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Oh. Oh. That's not fair because it's not going to do anything until I press it, is it? Just going to sleep under the desk. I'm so conflicted. I could sit here for 3 hours. I could walk away and make a meal or something and just win by not pressing 8 and feel good about it, but I'm pretty sure it would make a rather boring stream. Maybe if I just watch the clock until it's actually morning. Is that how I win? No, I'm going to press it. I'm not going to press it. I don't know. This is like I thought it was pretty hard at the end of the Walking Dead game where you have to choose how Clementine should handle you becoming a zombie. This is way harder. I'm going to cry. Fine.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
6 to question nothing. Oh, let me have a little bit of freedom. I don't get it.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I...
Oh, what? That's not right. Is that part of the game or has it crashed? No, okay. Okay, we're good. Yeah, it's nearly lunchtime again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Well done.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
I wonder if they've like harvested a load of data on how different people actually respond to this. It'll be quite interesting. This computer kind of works. Press more. Fine, switch things off.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
if I
5
do
years
exactly
ago.
the same thing again, do I have to go through exactly the same sequence at the end? Or I'd say the end, you know, the thing it does.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, it's slightly different. My computer's off. Well, not my computer, that one. This one's on. 2 bars. Okay. So we're gonna go a different way.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fine.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Space between the teenagers, okay. Oh, I can't alter it, that's sad. Termination Tuesdays, okay, this is... Can I at least cast a shadow? Oh! No. Projector's up there, Stanley's not real. No shadow. Go. Broom closet. Yeah, why not?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Wrong again.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Maximum obedience just for this one run.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Not without a drink. Right, guess we're going in the lift. Okay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
This game's so hard. Lipstick.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Yeah, he's done that before, that's fine. Violent deaths.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
It's not even scary. Done it before. Wow. I think I escaped. I'm not dead.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Not gonna work this way.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
The first ending, I thought I was done. Yes. Out of like how many? Ish. We're talking like hundreds of endings, 3 endings. Yeah, I see it's a museum, but that doesn't mean there's nothing in here. 14-ish, okay. Well, I guess I'll go to the mind control bit now. Let's see what's in there. I don't know, I kind of want to watch these emails now. You're concerned the museum might contain spoilers, but No, this is like playing the game. It's not a spoiler if you discover it in the game. Lots of places I haven't been. See, you're supposed to do this. This is like hints. Like, now I know there's a vent or whatever. Now I'm lost in the museum. It's an actual museum, isn't it? Okay. This might be my ultimate ending because I got lost. Oh, in the pause menu, like begin game again. No. Has to be some way to kill myself in here. There we go.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No,
Can't see
perhaps
anything.
not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone
hey,
else's
Fluffy, how you doing?
path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose
The ice
for you.
cream, eh?
Don't let time...
Splat. Yeah, have you played this? It's no Battlefront, but am I ultimately dead now? Is it not going to load again? Oh, no, I actually have to do it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No
raining
matter how
now.
hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Unless that's real life. I think it's raining pretty hard in the game, so that's changed. I'm assuming there's going to be one computer waiting input again. No. Why do you hate that ending? It was less painful than the one where it gave me all the buttons to press with the mannequin.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I'm going to follow this through. This is the kind of thing I wonder, how well they track it. Like, at what point, how many playthroughs do people stop listening to the narrator and just rush through the steps they've already
Stepping
done?
into his manager's office, Stanley was once again
I've
stunned to
forgotten the
discover
code.
not an indication of any human
Like
life.
2845
What
or
could it
something?
mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course,
you did it wrong.
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Just goes red, okay. Ah, well, you can do it wrong by accident because you're clumsy.
Stanley
Also.
simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Right, so I see a few people have tuned in since. We've had a few endings so far today. I've started off defying the narrator. I've jumped off a lift shaft. I've been through.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that
This.
read Mind Control Facility.
I've followed the lipstick escape and been to the museum. I have not been to the mind control facility yet. And that is where we are going now. Unicycle Man L, how you doing, man? Thank you for the ice cream. And you tell me, have you played this game?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
It's like the room
Did he
in the
have the
Matrix.
strength to find out?
Just somebody ask me some questions so I can say a go and pretend to be the architect.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Well, I guess I'm going this way. Where's my number? There. Employee 427. That's my office.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
This game is weird shit. If you haven't played it, then I don't know, maybe watching.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
This game is
And as the
amazing.
cold reality
Set
of his
to
past
360
began to
blend.
sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Oh. Dismantle. Beep. Off. Lots of beeping noises. Rage. Oh yeah, no, this game's great. It's very odd, and you should definitely play it. Oh, this big red button's got to do it. Pow. No, it doesn't. Okay.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Does it have Battle Royale? Play it and find out. I don't know. I've only found like 3 or 4 of the endings so far. Maybe there is. There's definitely not. I guess it's 2 endings right here. I don't know.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
No, I want to get back in the Matrix. You said I was
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Well, I said nuclear. I might as well sit here.
Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But
I don't even have a
precious
sprint.
moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going.
I've been
What
not
all this
listening to them.
means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated.
Oh.
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them.
That's a good
I
idea.
turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Yeah, it looks safe. Oh,
These
it's
are
time.
precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just
Maybe.
assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
No.
I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? one solved?
No.
Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's
What am I
just
doing?
seconds ticking away.
No
to
idea.
death. You're only still playing
Waiting
instead of
until I
watching a
blow up.
cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You
Oh.
wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to
Interesting.
destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your
There might
fellow
actually
life,
be a
or will
way
you
to
let it go
progress to a different
peacefully?
ending besides blowing up. But
Choice.
I'm quite happy
Make
to
it
blow up.
count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Boom. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Blowing up. I assume there is a correct code you can find and maybe disable it and go a little further and then blow up, but
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
so if anybody watching knows if there is like a, I don't know, a better ending or one that you're supposed to aim for, I am a bit curious. Quite a lot curious.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Where's.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do you reckon? Is there any way to survive through any of the endings? Or shall I just keep going?
Coming
I've
to
been
a
downstairs yet,
staircase,
I'll go there.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I would assume there's something that you can make happen. I don't suppose you can get out. But I
But
imagine if you can
Stanley
get the right
just
sequence
couldn't
and hit
do
the
it.
button, maybe something.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Whee.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. one he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Ah, so close.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
This game's so
Mariella
weird.
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day,
Wow.
her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've missed a few loops. Yeah, don't tell anyone about it, because they should play it for themselves. It's actually really interesting.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
It's actually it's such a weird game that it's the first time I've played one where I'm thinking I'd like to go and see other people play it to see what the hell they make of it.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I think I've explored most of what's through that one. Probably just going to do one more run through because I want to turn the mind control thing off and see how it ends when you do that.
Yet
Yeah,
there
we'll
was
see
not
what
a
it presents
single
when I get
person
there.
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
The fact that repeating some of the endings might play out differently as well. I don't know. I just want to use the executive bathroom. Oh, I can. But I still can't see myself. The mirror's not a mirror. 2845, thank you. I had forgotten again. I swear this door didn't open the first time. And it's so disappointing now that it has. Okay. Oh, this one opens now too. Okay, I thought I was going to do one more playthrough and turn the mind control device off, but this is different. I'm going to go to the roof. This one, these ones, could have gone up, could have gone down. Who knows? So many endings. And no endings. I don't know how long this gone for. It's gonna open up on the moon or something. Tell me what buttons to press. We'll do that at some point. Yeah. Ooh. What? It's certainly not. I'm going to try and go down anyway. Yeah, because you never fall for things that troll. It's doing exactly the same thing. I love this game, it's so weird. Right, go. Yeah, the lift is a troll. It goes nowhere. It's just
The moment he
shaking.
entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Okay. Is there something here? I can't see anything. No, I think we're dead end. Right.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Again, anyone that's dropped in and out, we've been through the mind control facility once. We're going through again.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
First time around, we turned the whole thing off. No, we didn't. We turned it on. It set off a countdown for some nuclear explosion, and
Now the monitors jumped to life.
that was a thing that
Their
happened.
true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
This time we're going to follow what the narrator wants and try to turn it off.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
And this time, so we've been through this way, we've pressed on, we've been exploded. This time we're going to turn it off and see how that differs. Well, that's a little disappointing as endings go. Well, I speak too soon. Let's see what happens next.
Blackness
Ooh.
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Okay, it doesn't let you down. It never lets me down. All the endings are weird.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Wow. Okay, so that one actually came up with a Steam achievement saying beat the game and then drop me back in the office. But yeah, I think that's probably enough endings to explore for today. If you are watching this, yeah, I got the achievement, yeah. If you're watching this and you haven't played the game, hopefully watching it hasn't spoiled it too much for you. It is well worth jumping into. I will have a look at the achievement, see what else, other weirdness there is to discover. But yeah, it is... I had not watched this before, and I'm definitely glad that I hadn't watched this before, so I hope I haven't ruined it for anybody else. But if you get the opportunity to play it, and it's old and dirt cheap on Steam, then give it a go and see what you make of it, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to watch as well, because it's a probably interesting and weird game. But yeah, I'm going to cut that for now. So catch you later.